It as close as possible so that our guest feels more welcome. Well, good morning and welcome to Grace St. Luke's Church. For those of you who are here in Tresvant Hall, welcome. And for those who are seeing this online or may see this at another time, I'm Ollie Rencher and bringing greetings on behalf of the parish. And I'm delighted to welcome representatives from Thistle and Bee, an incredible ministry here in our community, and I'll allow some time, of course, for introductions. But just to say thank you for being here. Thistle and Bee has been very impactful on our community in a lot of ways, and some of you have come to know them through the work that they do and some of their goods. And we have a goal, by the way, by the end of this event or after this is over, that all of the things that they brought with them, they want to leave empty-handed. So leave with large bags, buy gifts, and all the things for family and friends and strangers too, right? So yeah. But before we begin, let us pray. Gracious God, thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for opportunities to gather in conversation, to reflect on ministry that is committed to hope and healing. Thistle and Bee being an incredible example in our community of both, of hope, of healing. Thank you on this day for Autumn and Samantha and others with whom they work in the business of Thistle and Bee in this community. Be with them and be with us as we engage conversation and as we look ahead, always mindful that there is a new way forward made possible by you, our God. Amen. So with that, I would like to turn the mic over to Autumn Chastain, the CEO of Thistle and Bee, and let her make introductions, and we'll kind of just have some time for conversation. And then near the end of our time, there's a mic there present. If you have a question, we'd like for you to come to the mic and pose any questions. So let's welcome Autumn Chastain.
Thank you, Ollie. My name is Autumn Chastain. As he said, I'm the CEO of Thistle and Bee, which is the easiest job in Thistle and Bee. I am just kind of the one that runs around doing whatever anybody tells me to, and the yes, while everyone else is doing the really hard work. And I don't say that lightly. We have a tremendous team, and we have amazing women in our program that are really doing the hard work. And so I want to introduce to you Samantha, and I'll let you tell them about you.
Hey everyone, my name is Sam. I'm the program director at Thistle and Bee, and I'm also a super proud graduate. I graduated in 2023 from Thistle and Bee, and it feels good today to feel as if I finally know like my purpose and my meaning of why I'm here. For a long time, I just kind of wandered around and didn't really understand what in the world was happening and why it was happening to me. And it just feels so good to be able to walk alongside the women that's in the program, but also like doing extra things around the community, being able to help even outside of that population with our Healing Hive and Wellness Center. It just feels good to help the next person, which is so wild. Like, that's not what it was in the past. So I'm just so glad to be here, and I'm appreciative that y'all are here to support us. And Yeah, glad to be here.
I want to brag before I pass this back because Samantha didn't tell you everything about her. She said, yes, I'm a graduate. No. Since graduating, she is now a CPRS. She is a peer recovery specialist. She is a substance abuse.
Okay, I'm a substance abuse counselor, a certified peer recovery specialist through the state of Tennessee. I graduate later this year with my bachelor's in social work, and I plan to continue on to get my PhD, later becoming an LCSW. Um, yeah, I also, so if you know anyone that works in the medical field, this year I'm beginning a trafficking awareness training in medical and clinical settings. I was trained last year by the Boston Children's Hospital and Harvard Medical School to provide a training to bring awareness to medical professionals because they are usually some of the first and only points of contact in trafficking cases, whether that's labor or sex trafficking. And I've had a few of our hospitals reach back out to me, but I definitely would like to just make sure that people are aware. And I don't know everybody here, so if you know someone, please share that info.
And she's a dean student as she pursues that graduation too. So I'm really, really proud of Samantha. When I say she owns her life, she owns her life.
So, reflecting on the mission of Thistle and Bee, of course, women survivors of sex trafficking, prostitution, and addiction, rebuilding their lives through safe housing, holistic care, and meaningful work. That's a beautiful mission statement, and there's so much behind it. And of course, there's an admissions process and personalized services and the program, the comprehensive program that you have. But unpack the scenario of admissions and the work that you do. I'd like for you to share more with us about it and how people find their way and what admissions looks like based on your mission. So.
Well, to talk about the admissions, I'm probably going to let Samantha do that because she does the intake interviews. And so she and Jan Palmer at our Healing Hive are our first points of contact for those that are seeking admission to our residential program. But as she mentioned, we also now have the Healing Hive and Wellness Center. And the Healing Hive and Wellness Center admission is really anybody that comes to our door. It's also a lot of referrals from the courts or from other providers because we're able to welcome in individuals for individual, group, and IOP, which is intensive outpatient programming. Because oftentimes in trafficking, it's not just the individual that has experienced the trauma, but it's for their families to understand the impact that it has, whether it's working towards reunification or welcoming back in, or just really understanding what they've gone through. And so that admission process is anyone that comes to the door. You want to talk about the clinic or the residential?
Okay, so our residential admission process, we are a Tennessee Department of Corrections approved site. So that is one referral partner. Anyone that's incarcerated, we hope that there is a list. We reach out, we hope that they keep that list inside of their facilities. I came via that route. The list was inside a prison facility that I was at. I'm so glad. Everybody thought I was crazy to commit to 2 years after 4 and locked up. But so that's one. And then we go out into the community and try our best to have tables, make referral partners out there at different like short-term rehab stays, also the mental health facilities. They basically work really well with us of wanting to have a proper understanding of like who meets our criteria for admission. And it's gotten now where pretty much everybody kind of knows that's working in this field, and we get a lot of different calls. We also have the link available on our website, making it easily accessible for women that hear about it word of mouth. We have that a lot too. I'm so thankful for. We need more outreach, but definitely the outreach point has started to spread, and people are, if not reaching out while they're still on the street, they're reaching out once they reach the mental health facility or the short-term rehab. And sometimes it is like a really like unexpected, beautiful way, the way that they make contact with us. We've made connections out of state through different court systems that it's just like, how did you even know? Like, we just did a search, we found you, we've continued to keep using you. For one, is like in West Virginia, it's like, how did this happen, you know? But it's been a great referral partner. We've received 2 referrals just from that one court system, and they even connected us to another partner of ours where they provide flights for the women. And it's just, that's the beauty in it. Like, sometimes, you know, we put in a lot. I always said this in the program, like, I do what I can and he does what I can't, speaking of God. And it's just like, we do a lot of work, but there's something that's like, you can't really explain some of the connections sometimes. It's just, it's like it was meant to be, the way that they found us and was able to get what they needed.
So talk for a moment about, some here may be very familiar with the ins and outs and a day in the life of, is maybe a way to think of it, the comprehensive program. Like what is a day? How does the day start? How does the day unfold? What are the goals, as it were, of how, and of course each person is on a different trajectory and a different plan, but just to sort of unpack what that looks like, because I have studied and learned from people that I know in different parts of the program, and I continue to be amazed and humbled as to know what it's intense in all the ways, and rewarding in all the ways, but sort of talk about a day in the life of. Yeah.
I'm going to leave the programming part for the residential to Samantha again. That is the core of our organization, is that 2-year residential program, and it really takes that 2 years for individuals to work through and unpack what has led up to the point that they come to Thistle and Bee. But the other programming that we have to look at a day in the life is, for example, our new Healing Hive and Wellness Center. We may get a referral from juvenile court with a youth that has been trafficked or experienced severe trauma for sexual exploitation. And here in Shelby County, I don't know if you all know this, but the average age for a female to enter or have their first experience is between 10 and 12 years old. And for males, it's 9 to 11. And many people think it does not happen in their zip codes, but it does. And the more and more we have online now, it is even more prevalent. And so we take that opportunity to try and inform people that if they think it's not happening where they live, that it is. And the majority of people that come to us, especially for the clinic portion of it, do not identify as trafficked. They do not see themselves as a victim. Many will tell you that they felt very much in control at the moment or in their life until they have time to unpack what control they really had versus what control others had over them in their life and what they've experienced. And that those things that perhaps they've grown up with is not normal. It is not the definition of love. Love is not a transaction. Love is not an exchange. Love can be freely given and freely received. And so for many in that clinic, that's what that day looks like, is unpacking that and the willingness to come back to continue to work to unpack it. A day in the life of those that are part of our social justice enterprise, which are all the amazing products and things that you see there. When the women in our program reached a certain level, they got to start working with us. That meant harvesting honey. If you've never done it, come out and harvest honey with us. It is not an easy job, right, Michael? Michael, because he is a beekeeper, gets roped into helping a lot, and the ladies are so appreciative of him, and I think they like getting to boss Michael around too. But he's so kind-hearted with it. But they harvest the honey, they come up with the products, They work with a food scientist to determine the recipes and things. They name them. They actually manufacture them. They package them. And then they usually sell them in our markets and in our new store at Chickasaw Oaks. So they have training and skills all the way through, and we rotate those until they get to about the year point. And then we identify what is your strength and what is your interest. What are you wanting to do as you start working past graduation and creating that? Because one of the first things we do when they come in, as Sam mentioned, she came in first through justice involvement, is every woman that comes to us, we determine what is needed in your path. Have you had justice involvement? Are there charges that can be expunged? Are there court costs that you have that we need to work on? Do you have children? Do you have custody of the children? Do you know if you want to regain custody of children if you don't? Do you know what you have to do to accomplish that? Do you have child support order? Is that something we need to address and modify? If reunification is something you want to do, let's start that process and what that looks like and whether that is a healthy thing for you, and if so, if that's something that your children want as well. So we have the difficult conversations. Do they have their education? I think it's 85% of the women that come to us have not finished their high school diploma. So we walk alongside them through that. We have a graduation coming, you guys, February 22nd. She will melt your heart. You are welcome to come. She is in her late 60s. She is finishing her diploma alongside her granddaughters. And it is a beautiful thing. And if ever you like our tea, she is the tea queen. She said that it'll be hard for anybody to take her place. The other thing that we have that we're launching with the SJE, with the clinic, is extending that job skills and readiness to other women that maybe can't commit to the residential program, but need that opportunity. Most workforce development programs in Memphis are geared towards men. And so we're going to have a trauma-informed job skills 1.0 and 2.0 to help mentor them and give them those skills and place them in the community with some trauma-informed skills around them. So if you want to tell them about the residential program.
Okay, so a day in the life of the residential program, there are 4 different phases. The beginning phase is pretty intense. They're not yet working. They're in the job skills development 1.0 portion of that. And then they are 3 days out of the week going to our clinic for intensive outpatient programming. It takes up about half the day. They're receiving individual therapy 1 day a week the entire time that they are in the program. There's different groups and classes, like life skills classes. We have a book club that starts tomorrow. It's Brene Brown, Rising Strong. We try to mix in some not so like heavy stuff, but like some kind of more reflective things that they enjoy. Like we'll have a Valentine's Day dinner this Friday that's being provided by some amazing volunteers that have recently found us. We also have an arts and crafts project that day that's being delivered and donated by 901 Pop for Valentine's. We really want the women to feel at home, but also feel a part of like the different traditional things that so many of us like take for granted. Like a lot of the holiday stuff I never experienced until coming to Thistle and Bee. So it's super important that I just keep, those types of celebrations going. So that's phase 1, very intense programming, therapies. At phase 2, the requirements to meet that would be obtaining all life documentation, credit reports, because we're going to start trying to figure out the plan of action to eliminate that or get it downsized, completing the job skills class, and a few other programming things that they just need to make sure, like writing their life story. But then they're able to start working. They'll work 1 day a week, and we kind of monitor that, see how it goes. Each individual was different. Sometimes it's a little much. Sometimes it's just they're ready for more. And so we continue to ease them into that. By the end of the program, they should have at least 3 regularly scheduled days out of the week. with also the opportunities to work more in the evenings or on the weekends with markets and at the store. But that entire time, they're still receiving intensive outpatient programming half a day, 1 day a week, all the way through the program, and then that individual therapy session all throughout the program, and still 12-step meetings each day for their recovery. Yeah, there's so much to the program. Like, it's like if a lady comes to me and is like, Sam, I am struggling with communication, like with my kids. You best believe there's probably about to be a PowerPoint slide, and we're about to probably do a group on it to where we can all dissect it, like just offer suggestions with the group together. But yeah, we kind of just really roll with it and tailor it to what's needed. This week we're so blessed to have the YMCA providing memberships to their gym and their classes. So now that the snow's over, we are this year we'll be going there to their gym each week. We're really wanting to be able to help like with nutrition, like Jan that works with me at Intake. That's one of the groups she does on Monday during intensive outpatient programming is a nutritional class. So nutrition, physical health with the YMCA membership. We have a gym in our house. Mental health with our clinic, life skills. I mean, whenever I came to Thistle and B, it provides, to me, it seems like it provides a safe space and the services for me to learn how to live and to learn what the life is that I want to live in a healthy way.
Thank you for that. So, picturing all that's involved and those who are admitted into the program, those who serve as counselors and others, kind of a two-part question. How many do you currently have, and are you, I guess, licensed to have, like, as far as capacity is concerned? And then the other part of the question is all of it in-house? Are there daytime programs? Sort of kind of how are things divided up? If people are always together in community, or some can go elsewhere but then arrive back at a certain time, how that is structured?
So our current hive, that's what we call the house, can house 11 women. We do not have restrictions on how many we can house. We just have logistics. And we are in an old Midtown home right now. Our goal is really to work towards a small campus where we can consolidate having the housing for those that are in the program and perhaps a few transitional, because as you know, finding affordable housing in Memphis is an incredibly difficult thing, and especially for people that have some of the barriers that our survivors have graduating out. So that's one of our goals, is to consolidate that with a commercial kitchen to do some of the skills training, eliminate some of that transportation issues that so many have as well, and really be strategic in creating that community. That being said, we have 11 women that live in a house together, that work together, that do group together, that really have never had to worry about conflict management before because they could just not have to deal with that. So if any of you have siblings and you know what it was to be able to close the door and escape from your sibling, imagine going to work and doing everything with them at all times, every group. So learning conflict management is an interesting thing that they're going through. The groups at the Hive allow them a little more opportunity. The work skill is going to allow a little more diversity, but for the most part, they are together as a core group. And as they graduate, they say they are sisters for life. Mm-hmm. So it's someone that they can check in with that will support them, but will also call them out when they need called out. It's that check-in system that many have not had in their life.
No, thank you for that. So, it clearly takes special people to do this work. I mean, it is intensive work, right? Just from what you've described. And I'd be interested, Autumn, how did you come into your role? Attorney, So talk a bit about how you came into your role, and what do you find to be the most rewarding or encouraging a part of that, having gone on this journey, because this is now your ministry. This is what you're doing, and it requires all of you, and so that's not lost on us. So
I love what I do. And I am very grateful to be on a solution side. After 20 some years of being on what was somewhat a revolving door side in the courts, and I see some of my judges here who I hold very dear to me for doing the work the best we could in and around a courtroom and with what control we could have once people made it to the court systems. But to be on the solution side is huge. My journey, when I went to law school, I was going to be a sports and entertainment attorney. I owned a model and talent agency through college, and I was going to keep writing writers and helping athletes and entertainers and musicians and things. But I grew up overseas and I speak Spanish. And I ended up on a federal case that was a trafficking case where a young man was responsible for repaying his debt for coming to this country by collecting the money for the women that were being trafficked as they were rotated through here. One of the young ladies that came to that house, he found out was 14. And he did not want her to be victimized any more than what she had been. So he took the money that he earned from collecting those funds and he turned them in, instead of paying off his debt, as what she had earned for the evening. She was rotated out of that house and she was rotated to another city and somehow got word back to him. He risked his position and he went to where she was and got her out of that home and took her straight to officials. He was promptly arrested and he was charged as being part of this trafficking ring, but he took down that trafficking ring and that young lady family was reunified. Because I spoke Spanish, they had me on the case, and I followed that case at the request of the young girl's family into juvenile court. Never thought I'd step foot in juvenile court. But I felt in that day, in that moment, standing next to that 14-year-old and her family, who wasn't even my client, that that's where we could make a difference, that that's maybe where we could stop the pipeline, that that's maybe where we could start information and services and things to break that cycle. And so for 20 years, I worked in child welfare and did a lot in and around, again, originally because of the Spanish speaking, a lot of it was unaccompanied minors and trafficking. So I started working with foreign governments to set up safe havens when they would do extractions in and around Central and South America. We created a safe haven in Panama at Johns Hopkins Hospital and with the ombudsman and the vice president of Panama, so that when they did extractions anywhere in Central and South America, they would bring anyone that they recovered there for that immediate treatment and to reunify with the families. COVID shut that down. Borders were shut down. And someone said, there's an organization in Memphis called Thistle and Bee. I'd never heard of it. That made me sad when I learned about it, that I'd never heard about it. People will come up to us all the time and they say, oh yeah, Thistle Farms, you're in Nashville. No, we're Thistle and Bee, we're right here. And we were started here by Eileen Farmer, an Episcopal priest, who was originally going to support the Thistle Farms in Nashville and Becca Stevens until people said no. Did you know that Memphis is the largest hub? We need you here. So I talked to some people at juvenile court and I said, I think I want to do this. And they said, if you'll still be a voice when we need you for some of the trafficking cases, we'll send a recommendation. And I did, and I've been there now since December of 21 and doing the best I can to still be a voice at juvenile court, but to make sure that Samantha and ladies in the program and now part of the staff and really doing the work have what they need to grow so that people know that we're here and we're a resource here.
Thank you for that. I'm mindful of our audience, and some may have questions. We'll be ending our time at 10:15, but if you do have a question, if you'll please approach the microphone here. There's not insisting that there be questions, but this is a time to engage, something very meaningful to learn more. So, do you have any questions, if it's small or big questions, for our guests? And if so, if you'll approach the microphone because we're recording the session. Or bring it, I can bring it to you. Well, yeah.
We love questions way more than talking to people. We love talking with people.
I want to hear more about the store at Chickasaw Oaks. I've been there twice in the last couple of months or 3 months, and I just was so surprised to see it there. And it's a fabulous store, but I didn't know y'all had gotten into retailing like that. So I want to hear more about that. How's it doing?
It's doing well. That doesn't mean stop coming. That means bring your friends. So as I mentioned, we really would love to have a campus, but we don't right now. So our opportunities to make sure people know about us are attending markets or going and speaking at different events. But it created a visual point where we could have that conversation about what we do. And it's much different for somebody to walk up and say, oh, tell me about your honey, than for somebody to walk up and say, tell me about trafficking in Memphis. And so we get a chance when they walk in to say, have you heard of Thistle and Bee? Every person that comes in, if you've seen Laura at the store, you've seen one of the survivors, you've probably been greeted by, have you heard of Thistle and Bee? And it creates that opportunity. That's why we did it as a retail space. Chickasaw Oaks originally was one, way back when I was studying for the bar exam. My brain does not sit still. I opened a store in Chickasaw Oaks called Mango Street. And I had that store for 10 years. So my heart's tied to Chickasaw. It was central to a lot of the people that support us in and around the city. And for our survivors, it was a safe space. That interior, somewhat community feeling vibe that it has was different than going to a mall where many have experienced trafficking or experienced trauma. It was not a corridor, street front, storefront. So that was intentional. We also have a lot of classes and groups that we can have there. We have art therapy things where you get to learn watercolors and the importance of therapy. We had a tea party there. So it's just a place for people to really gather. That's why we have a storefront. We're not in retail.
Thank you.
Stand up and I don't need a microphone.
Well,
I would love for you to talk about the health care for those women. Just a bit about it, because I know it's a lot.
can you repeat into the mic? This is helping the recording.
The health care for those damaged women as they come in so ill and compromised medically.
Sam, are you comfortable talking about that, or do you?
Yeah.
Okay. I will tell you, for many of our women that have been trafficked, they haven't had health care. And part of that is the control of it. But I'll let Sam tell you about what we do and cover and the experience of the healthcare part of it.
So it is a learning curve for sure for all of us that comes through that door, because up until I came to Thistle and Bee, like, healthcare was not something I thought about, a very normal thing for many that's living in poverty or challenging times. You just go to the emergency room and you don't even think about the bill, because most of the time the bill's not going to come to an address you're at anymore. They're not going to have a phone number. Your number don't last long when you're out there. So it slips your mind. You never even think about it again. So when we come to Thistle and Bee, this begins a conversation, and it causes anxiety, because then that's the reality of facing, like, oh, there's bills out there, and oh, this is a responsible thing that I need to do to take care of my overall wellness. And so we definitely, at the beginning portion, we immediately enroll them in marketplace insurance. We walk them through it. We discuss, so it's Jan and myself have had groups where and every so often we still just have to have like refreshers of, what premiums are, what copay is, what are all these words, what does your insurance actually entail and mean, and what is this going to look like. So at the beginning, for the first year of our program, we pay the women's premiums. We pay their monthly payments for their insurance, because at that time, they are still working a limited amount of hours. We are asking them to use that money they have a required amount to be saving. And then they also, because we do budgeting each month, they have an amount that they're wanting to pay off their debts, whether that's medical. Most of the time we're trying to dispute the medical. We'll reach out, we advocate for the women. A lot of the hospitals have been really receptive to that, and a lot of the time they will mark it off. We have community partners here in Memphis that will provide free services for the women. And that has been a blessing still to me. I've received help with various medical things that kind of go higher. Just trying to take proper care of my health, and many of the women that come through our program have similar stories. And so we are extremely grateful for the community partners here in Memphis, but we definitely want to instill in the women a sense of empowerment through knowledge and ownership of taking care of their health by knowing insurance jargon, but also getting accustomed to that while they're in the program. After that year is when they'll start paying their monthly premiums. And then so the Sisters for Life portion that she said at the end, that's another thing. I call and check into the women. If it's not me, it's Jan, and we do that 1, 3, 6, 9 months, a year, and after that it's every 6 months. And that's one of the questions, one of the many, which they also, so those surveys are to collect data, and the women don't have to do that. So we also help them with giving them a gift card as a gift for helping us to collect the data to see if our program, what's happened, is still continuing to work. Are you still carrying your insurance? Are you still seeing those different medical providers? Are you still taking your medication? Because that's another barrier. Another thing that many, not just our women, suffer with is like the struggle to afford different medicines at the pharmacies. So
One thing with the medicine and with the treatments and things, for many of our women that haven't had those appointments, they get some very difficult news regarding their health. And so we've had diagnosis and things that we're able to then wrap around with them that this is something that they can work through, or how to modify and be accountable life. If it's, for example, diabetes, we have a lot that find out diabetes diagnosis, or heart issues. And so, and we've had some other major diagnoses that they've learned of. And so having that therapy to wrap around what that means when you're learning also to feel feelings for the first time, because they've either been numbed or whatnot, is another thing that's really important. But I have to say, probably the most beautiful part of the medical that we provide, and you can go online and see one of the example videos. I think Teresa's is the one that's online, and that's the smile. And that is, many of our women with dental health and never having any of that will actually go on to get the dental work that they need, and seeing the pride and the confidence that comes with having a smile is an amazing, beautiful thing. I'm a crier. See, but it's a beautiful thing, and that's probably one of my favorite things that medically we get to participate in.
Hang on one second. Because we will match the women up to half the cost for their dental needs. As long as it's not a cosmetic thing and it is a necessary thing, we're matching them half. And in fact, that was my story. They matched me half, and I was able to, I had just severe bone loss, and was able to receive dental needs that I had to have. And it was extremely helpful because it was a large amount, even though our community partner does do a very reduced rate. It's still a very large amount, and I was so thankful that Thistle and B does that match. And we also, with our graduates upon graduation, part of the budgeting that we're doing, we're wanting them to save at the very least $1,200 while they're in the program, because we will match them up to $1,200 so they can have a little bit of breathing room swimming above water when they do transition and exit out.
I'm sorry, one last health thing, even though the other is still my favorite. One of the biggest fears that many of our women face are those that need to have surgeries and things, because they are terrified of the medications and things that they may have to continue with their sobriety. So a lot of them undertake some pretty significant surgeries and elect no pain medications, no anything afterwards, so that they can really maintain their sobriety. So you want to talk about strong women? These are some strong women.
Thank you. Have one last question from Bob.
Thank you. I like probably most everybody in the room. I've worked with a lot of nonprofits over the years, and you know the mission of all of the nonprofits should be eventually to run them out of business because there's not a need for the services that are being provided. And you guys are doing a great job of dealing with a growing problem. I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate, but our nation and our world has been exposed to the degree of trafficking that's going on, even at the highest levels of society. And at the lower levels, you know, we all kind of know it's there. Is this a springboard, in y'all's opinion, for reform that would bring the problem and thus the need for these services down somewhat? And if so, you know, give me a clue.
Thank you, Bob. So it's almost like we gave you a script. I know, we did not. But you understand the issue incredibly well in saying that. We are proud at Thistle and Bee of the intervention work that we've been doing, but it was somebody that's in the back of this room that said to me on a Zoom a long time ago that it's wonderful that we can clothe people when we pull them out of the river and we can feed them, but we have to figure out why they're getting in the river. And so one of the things that we have launched and we're launching this year is called the HEART program. And the HEART program is an awareness program for K through 12. Many people do not know that our legislation requires by statute that all educators be trained on human trafficking awareness. It was shocking to me, educators that didn't know that was a requirement. Those that did have a 30-minute online self-guided, just tell us you did it thing that they watch. Our goal is to get into all the schools. We'd love to start with all the schools here in Shelby County to be an example for the rest of Tennessee, so that Tennessee can be an example across the United States. Our HEART program has 3 parts, and that is where, 1, we train the staff and administrators to be aware of the signs of trafficking, to have a trauma-informed voice to talk with students and families in and around that area and their approach to it. And then 3, if they identify individuals that need that assistance, we can bring our services and have in-school intervention services that we can provide, so therapies and things, so that that transportation barrier is not something that they have to face. The second part is train the trainer, where they will have an administrator that we will train and provide all the curriculum for, that will go into the classrooms, and they will provide age-appropriate education for the youth on these topics. Like I said before, most don't see themselves as trafficked. Most don't think themselves, how many as youth, it won't happen to me, I'm invincible, and just don't identify it. But having that conversation in a way that can engage the students is our attempt at prevention. Because if we can get in their ear early to understand what things can lead to, or what things look like, or what maybe isn't a norm, we can stop some of that grooming and we can identify it. The truancy rates in Shelby County are astronomical. The truancy is what can often lead an individual to someone seeing them as a potential victim. That is who people will target, are those that people don't wonder, why isn't this child in school? So if we can get in the schools and start that, so we hope that every school in Shelby County will be HEART certified to start prevention at the youth level, so that we can maybe stop the need for the intervention down the road. Anything you want to add to that?
And the wellness center. And the wellness center. That's another hope, is that that's just service provided to the entire community to make the community a healthier place, to where there's less people that are preying upon the vulnerable populations. There are less vulnerabilities, whether that's them receiving therapeutic services or case management, to kind of bridge the gaps of where they are struggling in life.
Well, thank you both for spending some time with us like this, and for making your wares available to us to purchase. But friends, join me in giving them a round of applause. And Grace St. Luke's will continue to do what we're able to support as well. So thank